regular season finale for. We're supposed to be joined by one of the owners of Home Team Barbecue, Aaron Siegel. He's going to be back around in a little while to visit with us because this is the last time that we will be in this venue. The schedule wouldn't have allowed for it, regardless of how far the team would go. We obviously want to talk about what's going to be occurring at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. A lot of things to get to with Coach Houston as we go along in this one. In the polls this week, the Citadel Bulldogs still ranked. They're number 25 in the Stats FCS poll, and they're number 24 in the coaches poll. So the old adage in college athletics is you take the poll that has you higher. So this week, the coaches are the smart bunch.
Well, yeah, and it, with the polls too, they're a reflection of where you started at the beginning of the year. Also, I think that you look at the Big South. I mean, Coastal Carolina was beat fairly handily by Charleston Southern, but they're still ranked well ahead of them in the poll because the poll reflects the beginning of the year where Coastal was preseason number 1. So we're ranked 24th right now. I think that we're better than that. And I think that, if we had been ranked coming into the year, you'd probably see us probably in the top 20, somewhere in the mid-teens. But, certainly it is a pretty special deal also to still be ranked in the nation.
That's the second time in 5 minutes that you have said something that I have said to others before, because I do talk about that sort of thing all the time, and makes a great deal of sense. There's no doubt about that. And reputation is something that will follow you around quite a while, and you've built one of those now. You've got that reputation going, so much so is that you're bound to be picked very high when next season comes around based on what you established.
Yeah, probably. And we got into that at Lenore-Rhine. For the first few years we'd be picked last or next to last, and the last couple of years we were picked to win the league, preseason and ranked in the top 10 in the preseason. So it the more seasons you can put together consistently, putting a good product on the field, obviously your reputation nationally, grows with that. So and expectations grow with that. And so it's kind of you create a little bit of a monster there. Yeah. So, but certainly it's better to have that problem than to be on the other end of the spectrum.
That's right. So. That's right. 7 wins, 3 losses, a 6-1 league record. League play is over for the Bulldogs, but there are some other league games going on. We'll talk about that. League schedule's not over, but it's over in terms of who will be the champion of the season and the regular season, and that would be the Chattanooga Mocs and the Citadel Bulldogs. And that is how this played out all season long. We'll come back with more first time out of the show with Coach Houston, and we'll return to Fiery Ron's Home Team Barbecue in West Ashley in just a moment on Sports Radio 1450.
Style, selection, service, quality, value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Home Team Barbecue in West Ashley. This is the season finale of the head coach Mike Houston show. The Dogs on the road to close out the regular season on Saturday afternoon as they will take on the Gamecocks from South Carolina in Columbia, Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll talk more about the Gamecocks coming up a little later on in the show. Wanted to go back just a little bit and gloss over the UTC ball game that was played on Saturday afternoon in Chattanooga, as the Citadel Bulldogs had the big showdown in Tennessee on that particular day. And in that particular case, Coach, Chattanooga, it kind of like they did in last year's ball game, they jumped out to a pretty quick start on you there.
Yeah, we got off to a little bit of a rough start there with giving up the pass play on the first play from scrimmage and the touchdown there, but we really responded well, drove the ball all the way down the field, made it inside the 20-yard line. And then, fumbled there, unfortunately, going into the end zone or getting ready to go into the end zone. And so, rough start there, getting down 14-0 out of the gate.
That's a lot of people will say it. It's always said, but a big difference between 7-7, which looked like where you were headed, and 14-0. Because in a football game like that one, and the first quarter was an indicator in this game, you're not going to get a ton of possessions in the ball game. You had one and started a second one when the second quarter started. So that you got to make the most out of it.
Well, you had two teams that controlled the ball very, very well. So, you knew it was going to be a limited possession ball game, and that's why it's so critical there. And really, if you could block out that beginning, really I feel like from probably the middle of the second quarter on, I thought we outplayed Chattanooga. But certainly, you got to factor in all four quarters. That's the way it works. So, just came up short there in the end.
UTC would go up 21-0 at the half, so you take your guys into the locker room. What do you talk to them about at that point?
Well, the biggest thing, and I gathered them up as soon as we got in the locker room, and I told them, first, we did this to ourselves. We made some critical mistakes that you can't make and got ourselves in the hole. But, we've invested way too much. We've worked way too hard. They fought too much this year to just lay down right now. And I said, we are the type of team that can respond and come back from this, and we just got to start one play at a time and start working our way back. And I shared with them a story from a few years back where I think we're down 21-3 at the half in a game very similar to that, and we came back and won the game handily in the second half. And just said you just can't focus on anything other than the play right in front of you. And really coming out of the halftime, our kids were locked in. They were ready to go, and I had zero doubt that we were going to come back and play very, very well, and we did.
You ended up with a touchdown right out of the locker room, and so you're 21-7 at that point. Went on a 12-play drive, 80 yards. That was one of several times during the game where you had the double-digit plays in drives, and that's more plays you run, the more chances you have to lose the football. But you had a lot of those that were successful.
Yeah, there. I like the drives, like the second scoring drive a little bit better in games like that, where you can get a quick one. But certainly we were able to put together some good drives and some extended things on offense and got us back in the ball game.
Chattanooga gets a field goal to put them up 24-7, but then you get the big kick return from Quinlan Washington, 45-yarder. He was added to the College Football Performance Awards watch list for return men today. Then Tyler Renew, next play, 52 yards, touchdown, just blasted right through there.
Yeah, good play call by Coach Thompson, and really took advantage of the squeeze scrape there by the linebacker and defensive end, and caught them in between, and Tyler was able to take it the distance.
We've talked about this before, and I mentioned it to Tyler when you had him at the press conference yesterday, but talk about the difference in, I guess, the first two games, Tyler, and the last 8 games, Tyler, because he didn't get a lot of carries or playing time early in the season. I think it was the bye week where things kind of turned in his favor, and now he's hard to get off the field.
Yeah, the biggest thing is he got beat out during camp. We're fortunate to have 3 guys that are pretty good players there at that position, and so there's a lot of competition. And if you don't bring your game, there's somebody else sitting there waiting to beat you out. And he got beat out during camp, and then he finally got himself straightened out, and it was probably more mental than anything. He had to get straightened out, and once he kind of got himself in a position where he was just focused on pushing himself every day and being ready when he had an opportunity, Then we found a game plan there with the Wofford game that we thought really fit him well, and he was playing well then, and so he got the opportunity. He's made the most of it.
So his touchdown run makes it 24-14. UTC has to punt, and we go to the fourth quarter. They get a score to put them up 31-14. The Citadel a field goal to make it 31-17. An onside kick by the Dogs that was recovered by UTC led to a missed field goal for them. You end up getting the ball back with 1:50 to go. You get a touchdown to Eakins, and one thing we said in the booth that particular day, did that last play take 11 seconds?
No, and that was my question for the officials right after regulation. And, it's I thought the clock started a little early, but they were on top of it, and just the ball game was over, so we just left it at that.
Yeah,
so.
At that point, you'd like to have a couple of seconds left. Maybe you recover
maybe you kick the extra point. It gets to a one-score game. You onside kick. Maybe you have a chance at a Hail Mary, and then maybe a shot there to tie the game. So.
After the ball game, I know he said it to the press, but he also said it to us up in the press box after his post-game radio interview. But Coach Russ Huseman wasn't just saying it for the press. He said it privately as well. That team, and he was talking about yours, that team belongs in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think we do. I mean, we've got obviously I feel like we have a very, very strong resume. I mean, we've got 3 losses on the season. We lost to an FBS team in Georgia Southern that's headed to a bowl game. We've lost to 2 top 10 FCS teams that are both conference champions. I think our the one-loss total of our teams that have beaten us is like 24-5 or something like that. So a winning percentage of over 80%. So it's not like we've had a bad loss. We've lost to teams that are all headed to the postseason. And some of the top teams head to the postseason. So, and we've beaten some really, really good football teams as well. The win over Western Carolina, looking at the year that they've had, is a pretty impressive win. Big wins over Furman and Wofford, a big win at Sanford. So we've got some real quality wins on our slate. And you look at how Mercer's playing after we beat them. They're playing very well now. So all of a sudden that win looks better.
So the Bulldogs will they've put themselves in a position where waiting is going to happen. Obviously, they've got a game to prepare for, and following the blueprint for the season, I know that's where you put your focus is the very next game.
Yeah, that's it. It's the last one's behind us. The regular season and the SoCon's behind us. Our focus is firmly on South Carolina right now, and we've got a great opportunity going up to Columbia Saturday, and our kids are going to be excited to play.
So on Sunday, as you look ahead to the selection show, you're going to get together as a team. I got the media advisory a while ago that the team will get together to take a look at what goes on in that 11 o'clock show. And obviously that's something you had to make a decision on. Do you want to do that as coaches? You want to have the team involved? Yeah. And so how did you decide what you wanted to do on that?
Well, I've always done it as as a team function, and this will be my 4th one I've had the opportunity to be involved in, and it's a pretty neat deal. I've had one time where I was a conference champion, and we were actually a co-champion like we were this year. We hammered the team that we shared with. They got in, we didn't, and so that was a little bit of a rough one there. But the other 2, were great celebrations, and it's just like the NCAA basketball selection show that the NCAA does for the FCS playoffs and the Division II playoffs, and so it's a real neat deal, and it's something that the kids will remember forever, and so it's a special moment as a team.
And that will occur Sunday at 11 o'clock, and so you can watch that on ESPNU as the playoffs are unveiled on the weekend of the 28th. What I'll call, for the purposes of understanding here, the other 16 will play 8 games. Then the weekend of December the 5th, the other 16 winners will take on the top 8 seeds. December 12th, 4 games. December 19th, 2 games, all leading to the championship, which is in early January. Kind of like a bowl game to make you wait there. If you get to the title game now, you have to wait about 3 weeks to go. Before we move away from that, wanted to just a curious question. Given that you find yourself in a situation now where who you played and who you beat is being scrutinized more than it has been in the past. Does that make you think for future scheduling? Now you're starting to get kind of your hands around future scheduling. Does that factor into who you put on your schedule now?
We should not be playing 2 FBS teams in the same season. It hurts your playoff opportunities.
There you go.
And that's, if we're sitting here with another FCS team that we have a chance to win, or a quality FCS team which betters your resume, it makes such a difference as opposed to playing 2 teams that are a step above with a drastic advantage in resources and scholarships. So I just think that it only makes sense if you're serious as an institution about competing at the national level, for the playoffs and for championships, then you've got to schedule and give yourselves a chance. And so, looking ahead now, I hope that we can have that kind of philosophy that, hey, we can build a legitimate contender here at the Citadel and do the things that we need to do in order to achieve that.
And it's you made a powerful statement. Obviously, you could be sitting here with 8 FCS Division I wins, which I can promise you'd be in it right now.
If you're sitting here with 8 FCS wins, 6-1 in the SoCon, a couple of quality FCS wins out of league play, certainly it would make a drastic difference, in our resume.
All right. We'll take a break at this point, come back with more in just a couple of moments. We're at Fiery Ron's Home Team Barbecue in West Ashley for the Coach Mike Houston Show. It's the season finale tonight on Sports Radio 1450. Team Barbecue in West Ashley. This is the Coach Mike Houston radio show. We are back and we are ready to roll until the top of the hour here. And so we are going to get one of the owners of Home Team Barbecue to come up and join the coach and I here. And I got your headset there. If we start squealing, you might have to come around to the other side here, Aaron. But we are going to visit with Aaron Siegel at this point. The coach and I both wanted to have you on with us at the same time and wanted to express our great thanks. Here we are at the season finale of the show. This has been a great venue for us. People who come here to watch the show leave full. They leave happy. And so we appreciate very much you having us this year, Aaron, and we wanted to have you on specifically tonight to tell you that. And so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. I'm glad to sit here and watch a great year for Citadel football. I guess the one constant is that the show is at Home Team Barbecue,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt. It's been a great year, and it's a great place for us to have it. So thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks again,
absolutely.
as Mike said.
You got your little boy there. I got my little girl here hanging on us. It's a fun place to bring your kids and have them run around, and it's just fun for the whole family.
Now, you didn't your little one just have a birthday?
She did. How old are you? You just turned 6?
I'm 6.
All right. She's 6.
So
Days lasted about 6 days too. We're about on.
They
12
seem
days
to
of Christmas.
do that.
Right. Yeah. They stretch it out good. So
they have they have a tendency to do that. It'll go another 6 if you let it. So remember on that deal. So, but no, this has been a great place for us. We appreciate it very much, and we kind of have given you credit where credit's due. Sometimes when people are new to the system here, we're all a little superstitious. We wouldn't want to change anything when things are going so well, would we, Coach?
Well, man, it's been a great year. I'm real proud of Citadel football this year, and it's been really cool watching you guys have such a great year.
Thanks.
Tough loss on Saturday, but we can go up there to Columbia and make them nervous. You know what I mean?
You'd probably be excited about that being a Georgia fan.
Yeah, that's right. I'll root for some Bulldogs. Well, me and Bobby Harton always go back and forth, but I got a little place in my heart for South Carolina, probably just because of Bobby. But
it should be fun. There's no doubt about that. We're going to spend some time talking about that particular game coming up this weekend, but chance to really go up there. Obviously, we know the Dogs are going to play hard. Anytime they take the field, they're going to play hard. So it's going to be fun to be in that atmosphere. And
just got to go out there and hang with them and see what happens.
Yep.
I mean, you never know. Like you said earlier, the ball's not round. Sometimes it bounces the wrong direction.
It does. Yeah, I
No
did
doubt.
say
It
that.
sounds like you've used that one before, Mike.
I've seen it happen. I have used it before, but
You broadcasters got your lines. I know that.
the ball never has been round, and therefore it does take funny little bounces from time to time, and so it is neat. But we did want to have you on for a few minutes. We know you're very busy, and we thank you very much for popping back in here to. And I know that when you do pop back in here, you can be added to your workload can be added to very easily. So we want you to be able to slip out of here and not have to deal with anything else.
Well, listen, I appreciate y'all coming in this year. It's been fun, and hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Even win a few more games. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Congratulations,
No doubt.
Coach.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. Appreciate
Aaron,
it.
thank
Good to
you
see you,
very
Mike.
much. Good
Thank
to
you
see
so
you,
much.
sir. Thank you so much for your time, and
wanna say bye?
enjoyed having you here. So what's that? Is that someone wanting to say bye?
You want to say bye?
Bye.
All right, sounds good. And so here we are. We're ready to go. And going to get into the Gamecocks just a little bit when we get rolling here in just a few minutes. So talked about quite a few things already in the show. And so big ball game this week. Lots of things going on. We have some questions that have come in from the audience as well. And so we'll get to some of those as we go along here this evening. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take this break, come back with more of the Mike Houston Radio Show. It's live from Home Team Barbecue in West Ashley on Sports Radio 1450.
There's more for you at Substation 2. Since 1975, Substation 2 has been serving sliced-to-order, freshly made subs on our specialty New York-style bread, piled high with the finest meats and freshest produce. From the number 19 Super Special with 7 mouth-watering meats and cheeses to an assortment of specialty sandwiches and salads. Substation 2 proudly supports the Citadel Bulldogs with 2 locations in Charleston and 43 locations throughout the Southeast.
Welcome back to Fiery Ron's Home Team Barbecue in West Ashley. This is the Mike Houston Radio Show. This is the season finale for this particular show. Citadel Bulldogs' regular season finale is Saturday at noon at South Carolina against the Gamecocks. Then on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, the playoff bracket is released, and everyone will find out which 24 of the 125 teams get into the FCS playoffs, which will begin after Thanksgiving, that weekend, at least for all but 8 teams, which will have first-round byes and then home games in the second round. I wanted to mention this because he's in the back of the room, but I was at your press conference yesterday, Coach. We were able to grab a hold of a sheet that talks about your qualifications for the FCS playoffs. I was very impressed and thought it was extremely clever that it was on resume paper.
No doubt.
That's great.
Yeah, I've talked about Derek Satterfield, before on here, and he's a new addition to our staff this year at the Citadel, and has done a great job just, handling everything with stats, media, press conferences, the everything that we put out. He kind of manages all that stuff, manages the Twitter stuff and everything. And he really, he's got experience at Michigan and Arkansas, putting together bowl bids, trying to solicit those and things like that. And so a lot of experience that he's brought to our staff, and he did a great job with this resume, which looks pretty impressive. I mean, looks to me like we should be in. So
there you go. There you go. If I'm the employer, you're going to get the job. So
yeah, no doubt.
How does that go? But it also means, given that all of the things that you mentioned, that it give or take, it really is all on him at this point, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've done our part, so we've taken care of the stuff on the field. So now it's up to Derek to get us in.
Exactly. So you sit back, you prepare like you normally do, and take it from there. So a couple of odds and ends that we want to get to before we really dig into South Carolina coming up in just a couple of moments. I mentioned that Quinlan Washington was added to the CFPA kick returners watch list. Eric Goins was added as a kicker as well. So that means you have 4 guys, Delaney, Jeter, Goins, Washington, who are all on a watch list at their positions. And so you're starting to get that little snowball going with some guys getting some recognition there.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week a little bit. Just, when you have seasons like this, and you can start, especially if you can start to put together several seasons like this, that's where the postseason accolades come. You have a season. Last year I thought our kids played hard, but not as successful as season. Limited postseason accolades. So it really is a team sport, and and the individual awards come as a result of the team's play. So you're certainly happy for those 4 guys.
Now, I have not received my ballot from the league yet. I will soon, I'm sure. But I took a poll of the guys sitting on the front row, and unanimously you were named Coach of the Year. So congrats from that to the small quorum that we put together here tonight. But I think you're going to get that thing.
Well, now I will say this. I've been fortunate enough to receive that award, several times in the past, and it is a staff award. It really is. I mean, it's not an individual award at all. It's much like we talked about with the team deal. I'm blessed to have a group of guys that the bulk of them have been with me for a long time. I have some relationship with every one of them in my past, and they do a tremendous job on a daily, weekly basis with everything within our program. We're all on the same page, and they truly are the difference in the way our team is playing this year. Is just the job they've done on the field. So it's if we're blessed with that award, it is very much a staff award that we will all accept together.
Now, let's see. We had Aaron on a couple of minutes ago. You changed up a little bit on the menu. I did too. And so, what did you go with tonight?
I think I got the smoked turkey wrap tonight. Very good, and the macaroni and cheese, which is some kind of an award-winning macaroni and cheese here in the Charleston area. So
for good reason.
Yeah, good,
solid stuff.
Good menu. So
I had a pulled pork taco, a brisket taco, and then topped it off with some chili. So
I've had the chili's very good.
I went around the world to a degree, so that's awfully good stuff here at Home Team Barbecue. Hope you'll come whenever you have the opportunity, lunch, dinner, whatever the case may be. we always get the question about the uniforms that you'll choose to wear in your ball games that are coming up. And so what have you decided with regards to the South Carolina game?
We'll wear summer leave this Saturday.
Okay.
So it'll be white jersey, lead pant. We will have white socks and white shoes for the game Saturday, but so a summer leave uniform.
White helmet, white jerseys, lead pants, white socks, white cleats. So that's what's going on with regards to the University of South Carolina game, which is coming up on Saturday at noon in Williams-Brice Stadium. You have some guys on your roster, some guys that will know more in years to come from Columbia, but the main guy on your roster that is from right there in Columbia, we talked about earlier, and that is Tyler Renews. So this is kind of a neat little homecoming for him this week.
It'll be a special deal for him. It's he grew up, around the stadium. I think he told the story the other day. He used to sell peanuts at South Carolina home football games, and so I think it's a pretty neat story with him going from that to now he's going to. He's going to be the starting fullback in a ball game there, regular season ball game there. So it'll be a special day for him and his family.
Sure, between taking money for the peanuts and throwing them to people, he was trying to sneak a little look at every play.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are guys on your team, and I know this is no offense to you, there are guys who probably, especially the ones from the state, had some dream perhaps of playing for that football team on that field.
Sure. I mean, I've talked about it before. I grew up in the state of North Carolina, and I wanted to play at the University of North Carolina, and, that didn't work out. And a lot of our guys grew up either South Carolina fans or Clemson fans, and so I think it's a pretty neat deal for those kids getting a chance to play in Williams-Brice and play against South Carolina, and it'll be a neat thing in the beginning, and then but then once the ball kicks off, now it's a ball game.
Yeah.
It's no different than any other team we play. We're gonna go right at them, and we're gonna play our style of football all day long. And so we're not going up there to have some kind of a vacation or something like that. I mean, we're going up there to win a football game.
No question about it. Now, sometimes you will get the stuff that comes from people that say, you got a chance to be in the playoffs, try not to get anyone hurt. But you talked about the way you go about every football game. And I know it's not in your nature to play any other way than all the way to the pedal to the metal.
No, and that's just, I don't know I wouldn't know how to coach a game that we were trying to save people for the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to go up there and we're going to put our best on the field, and they're going to play hard. They're going to execute our game plan in all three phases, and they're going to compete, and they're going to go at it. They're going to play Citadel Bulldog football.
And you expect everyone that you want to play on Saturday, right?
Yeah. As of right now, I think it looks pretty good for that on Saturday, and. We've got bumps and bruises like everybody else, but everybody practiced today, and everybody's doing pretty good.
What's the old adage? If you get up from any given play in the game of football and something's not hurting, it was somewhat of an abnormal play.
Well, I told one of them the other day, I said, if you're waiting to feel good and feel, all healthy and everything, that ain't going to happen. Not until after the season's over. So, you're in week 12 or 13 of a college football season, and you play in a tough conference, you're going to get beat up and banged up, and that's the thing is so important for those guys, and that's something that's important transitioning from high school to college, is learning how to take care of your body. You don't just go out there and feel good every day. You've got to take care of your body in the training room and in recovery after ball games and between practices as much as anything to help you perform at a high level on Saturday.
I can really identify with that, because nowadays I get up and going, man, I would like to feel good just one day. Something doesn't hurt when you get out of bed in the morning, but it's a different kind of a deal, obviously, there. So we did have another question from the crowd, and ask it because this is the last chance we'll have an opportunity to speak in this particular venue.
Right.
But I was looking at the recruiting calendar a little earlier and noticed that you're in a quiet evaluation period, but on the 29th, that changes just a little bit, and you kind of kick into a little different kind of recruiting calendar.
Yeah. So we get to go out on the road starting the 29th, and of course, if we're still playing, then we'll have an alternative plan for that to incorporate recruiting on the road and preparing for the playoff game that Saturday. But recruiting is going really well. The guys are back in the office right now on the phone tonight, and we have a good number of commitments right now, and have quite a few solid offers out that we feel like we're gonna get commitments from over the next probably 3 weeks. So I would say recruiting is going very well at this stage.
Could you gloss over areas of focus for recruiting?
Probably the two biggest are our offensive line and inside linebacker. Just with we do have some graduation at both spots this year, and then we have significant graduation over the next 2 years. And so really, we need to prepare for the future at those two spots primarily. But we're looking to sign somewhere around 17 players this year. So it's you'll have some variety there, and a little bit of everything mixed in.
This year, with the way the season has gone, how difficult? Because I think this says something about the class you signed in January, that 20-person class.
Yeah.
How difficult has it been for some of those guys not to play?
Very. I mean, there are a handful of them, probably 4 or 5. That right now, if we were not redshirting them, we'll be playing significant amounts. Now, not in a starting role, but significant amounts as a backup, special team, stuff like that. Now, Rod Johnson's probably the one exception, and Rod just medically couldn't play for such an extended period of time, and ended up not being able to play for the season. If he had been healthy and he had been able to play, he would have challenged for a starting spot by now.
Given that he played in just one game, can a medical redshirt be applied for, or will it be applied for?
Yeah, I mean, because he had a season-ending injury that kept him out the entire season, we can apply for a medical redshirt.
Okay. Hope that goes well, because he was very promising, obviously.
Yeah, he only saw action in a couple of games.
Scored a touchdown in his only deal.
Yeah, he did.
So good deal there. So, all right, wanted to get to some of those housekeeping items, and we have done that. And so what we'll do at this point, take a break, then we're going to dial in a little deeper on the Gamecocks. That's the opponent for this week for the Citadel Bulldogs as they go to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia on Friday for the Saturday ball game against the Gamecocks. We'll return with more in just a couple of moments on Sports Radio 1450.
So I needed to deposit a check. I was about to head to the bank, but out of nowhere, it just started to rain. Like,
There's more for you at
Minutes of the show for the season here at Fiery Ron's Home Team Barbecue with the head coach of the Citadel Bulldogs. I'm Mike Legg. Welcome back, and a big ball game for them this week. They will take on the South Carolina Gamecocks in a 12 o'clock ball game on Saturday afternoon at Williams-Brice Stadium. It's not that your team hasn't played in a big venue before. You played at about 85,000 in the Florida State ball game last year, so this is not the biggest place, but it'll be rocking a little bit on Saturday.
Yeah, I would think so, and I would think we'll have a good following of Citadel fans there in Columbia. Certainly, there's this rivalry has some pretty significant moments for both sides over the years, and so should be a good atmosphere for everybody.
I know that you have a charity event that you or a foundation event that you attend, and all the coaches in the state tend to be there. So I had seen some pictures earlier in the season where you were there with Coach Spurrier. So
right.
I wonder if, to a degree, what your thoughts were on the couple of days before he actually officially announced that he was stepping down, and whether you're sorry to a degree that you don't get to coach against him this year.
Well, it would be a neat deal to get to coach in the same ball game as him, but certainly everything he has achieved and everything he's done for the sport of football, especially in the Southeast, I just think that's congratulations to him is the big thing that we, the thoughts going through everybody's head, and wish him well with whatever he gets into next in his life. Certainly he's I don't think he's ready to slow down with everything just yet. He just felt like it was time for him to move on and for the university to move in another direction with the football program.
Yeah. It would be hard to go from full speed to no speed. I mean, it would be very, very difficult.
Knowing him, he's probably playing plenty of golf right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly. There was one question before we get on a totally different track that I had meant to ask, because you just played a team that had a head coach who had a son as his starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, should Reed or Owen be quality football players? Would you relish the opportunity to coach your own sons?
I don't know. Of course, everybody's seen them, so they're always in under the table or whatever.
They can run.
They're both pretty. They're both pretty full throttle. So I have a feeling they're going to end up playing football at some point. But the positive is you get to see your son every day.
Yeah.
I'm sure. The negative is he's probably going to have it harder than anybody else, because anything that somebody else would normally earn, he probably has to do 10 times as much to earn, so that it doesn't look like you're playing favorites. And with our style, I can imagine I'd probably be harder on my two than I am any of the rest of them. So, maybe better if they just play for somebody else.
Yeah,
so.
and they wouldn't be able to get away from it much if around the dinner table.
No, they probably hear about it at the dinner table. What the think about that?
And it would come out of the blue, mid-bite or whatever. Happened there too.
I'm sure their mother would have to intervene. So.
It's the 51st time on Saturday that the Bulldogs and the South Carolina Gamecocks will have played. The series goes all the way back, to 1905. South Carolina has 40 wins in those 50 games, with 7 Citadel wins and 3 ties. The Dogs won in Columbia in 1990, 38-35. That was their first win over USC since 1950. It can certainly happen. It has happened for the Citadel Bulldogs before. I'm sure you've heard that already.
It has, but really, 1990 was such a different time in college football. There's no comparison with right now. So, yeah, it can happen. I mean, I think Michigan and App State is probably maybe a better comparison there, because it's a little more modern. But it can happen. It is rare, but it should be. I mean, with the vast resources that a program like South Carolina has versus an FCS program, that's the reason there's a significant difference in the level of play. But in 1990, there were very few Division I schools anywhere, and especially in the state of South Carolina, there were only a few. And so, if you didn't go to South Carolina, you probably went to the Citadel or Furman. If you were a Division I football player. And so, now you have so many other programs in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. It gets diluted a little bit. But still, we're going up there with the mindset of we're going to play our game. We're going to do the things that we do every week, week in and week out. We want to try to play a clean game on all three phases, and we're going to compete and we're going to go at them. And we're excited to go up there and excited for the opportunity. And I know it will be a tough task, and we'll have we'll have to play very, very well to get the win. But I promise you, our guys believe we're going to go up there and do it. So.
I'm glad you brought up Appalachian State because Sean Elliott spent some time there as a coach, and so he knows what a team in your shoes feels like and is preparing for.
There's no doubt. And I'll tell you, I think he has done a great job given the situation that he inherited and was placed in. I think he's done a great job with, managing that situation as the interim head coach and doing a good job of having his team go out and compete every week. They've had chances to win against some very quality opponents. Florida last weekend. Tennessee a few weeks ago. He's had some chances to win against some really quality teams, and so that's a credit to his job he's done. But certainly he understands the situation that we're in probably as good as anybody. And if he if he needs any help, Everett Sands, who played on that Citadel football team in 1990, is their running backs coach, and obviously close to all of us down here. So. I promise you that they will have South Carolina ready, and they're not looking past us one bit.
And to use your words from your press conference the other day, they've had their ups and downs, but one of their ups was beating North Carolina.
Yeah,
and that's
a very good football team.
No question.
And top 15 team right now, and headed for probably the ACC championship against Clemson, and possibly a New Year's Day or post New Year's Day bowl game. So that's a quality win there on their resume.
A win over UCF and a win over Vanderbilt. Their losses have come to Kentucky, at Georgia, at Missouri, at LSU, at Texas A&M, at Tennessee. That's an awful lot of ats, meaning they've been on the road a lot.
Yeah, they've been on the road a lot. So I know they're excited to get back home and be playing in Columbia in front of their home crowd. So. It'll be a big day for them too.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you're expecting to see. Let's start on the offensive side of the football with what the Gamecocks present as issues for you there.
Well, probably the biggest issue that we face is the sheer size of their offensive line. All of them are going to be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". 6'4" is small for them. They're all going to be 300 pounds plus. They all move well, so it's an enormous size advantage that they'll have up front. And then, you put behind that, Brandon Wilds, quality running back, David Williams, quality running back. I know that they've had some struggles at quarterback there, but Perry Worth has kind of calmed them down. And of course, Lorenzo Nunez, when he gets in there, is a talented athlete. But the big one that sticks out is, obviously Pharaoh Cooper. He is a special talent. He's probably a first-round draft pick in the draft next year. He has 51 catches on the year for about 700 yards. He's an electrifying player that he can run it, he can throw it, he can catch it. He can do everything on the field, and he's got breakaway speed. So that will really be the challenge there, is how do we keep Pharaoh Cooper under wraps?
And he has done all of those things that you talked about too. For example, Cooper has thrown 4 passes, completed 2 of them, one of them for a touchdown. He has run the football. He is actually just outside the top 5 on their team. He's rushed for 121 yards. Actually, he's 5th on the team in rushing.
Yeah.
And has run for a touchdown. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the 51 catches for almost 700 yards and another 6 touchdowns in that regard. All right, let's flip over to the defensive side of the football.
Well, the size up front is the big thing, and they roll a lot of guys up front. That they're going to play 12 guys on the defensive line, rolling those guys in and out, and Gerald Dixon right there in the middle, 6'3", 330, senior from Rock Hill, South Carolina, and you could just rattle off, and they're all going to sound just like that. Tremendous size. Sky Moore is their leading tackler, and one of the best linebackers in the SEC, and has had a huge year for them. He's going to end up with over 100 tackles on the season, which is really kind of rare nowadays. And then a very, very athletic secondary led by Isaiah Johnson, their free safety, a senior, 6'2", 210, out of Cary, North Carolina. So You got size, you got speed. Of course, the SEC is known for its speed. So, we'll be challenged there as well on that side.
And those obviously there are some people who are very encouraged about an opportunity and some dreaming somewhat of what could happen with regards to this game. I tell people that if you look at what they play week in and week out, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we've sat here this week and we've watched Texas A&M and Tennessee and Georgia and Missouri and North Carolina and UC. I mean, you look at everything they see week in and week out, and it is just they don't get a breather. I mean, it is a tough schedule that they have had this year, and they've been very competitive. The Tennessee game easily they could have won, and had a great comeback against Texas A&M, and almost able to pull that one off, and they've had a tough deal.
They don't, when you have a change in your coach, whether it's initiated by the administration or whether it's initiated by the coach himself, a lot of times it's not necessarily evaluated on wins and losses. It's based on competitive or not competitive. Right. And competitive, I see out of that.
Well, and I think especially since Coach Elliott took over, I think they've been very competitive. They had the big win against Vanderbilt, but they've been competitive every week. So, certainly they've had opportunities to win, but they've been in tight ball games in the SEC every week, and so the SEC is regarded as the top conference in all of football, all of college football. So that tells you the quality of their program.
Now let's talk a little bit about special teams with regards to the Gamecocks and what you're expecting out of them from that front.
Well, you look up Pharaoh Cooper's a punt returner, so we've already talked plenty about him.
Yeah.
But kick returners, they're going to have guys back there with tremendous speed. Rashad Fenton from Miami, Florida, a fast young kid back there. Quality place kicker and quality punter. Sean Kelly is their punter, and Elliott Fry is their place kicker. So they're solid on the special teams as well. And anytime you face a team, we've talked about it week in and week out, that is very athletic and has a lot of speed on defense, they're usually going to be very good on special teams, and that's what you see with South Carolina as well.
And you're a good example of that. You've got some good athletes on your team that play on special teams, and sometimes maybe, like in a Vinnie Miller's case, you wish maybe he wouldn't play as much out there, as reckless as he likes to play, and I mean reckless in a good way, but certainly is a great advantage to have guys with some athleticism to be on your team and not always just working their way up by being on the special teams, but having regular line guys coming out there for some stability.
Yeah, at our level, we don't have nearly the scholarships and thus not nearly the depth that a South Carolina does. So a lot of our starters, most of our starters do play special teams, and it's just a numbers deal.
Coach, it is we're coming close toward the end of the program. I want to tell you how much we appreciate you devoting the time that you devote to this particular show every Wednesday night. We've been together the last 12 Wednesdays.
Yeah, it's been a fun deal. So now just, number one, thanks to Aaron and Fiery Rons for hosting us this year and providing us with a venue. I think, number two, thanks to all of our alumni that come out each week and support us, and thanks to you and the crew for working with us on the show. And it's just it's a good deal, and we're fortunate to have it. It's been a fun year.
You won't have to see me next Wednesday. I'll be in Spartanburg to do a basketball game. So,
well, hopefully I'm breaking down film and getting ready for a playoff game.
Yes,
so
I hope that's true. In your heart of hearts, do you feel like you will be in?
I would be surprised if we're not.
Okay.
I really would be. I think that just looking back at everything traditionally in the history of the Southern Conference and with the quality season we've had, I would anticipate us being in.
Repeat the stat again for me, Coach. Did you not say that the last 15 times there'd been a co-champion?
I think it's the last maybe 6 times there's been a co-champion both teams have got in.
Or 2 of the 3 in some cases.
Yeah, but every time there's a co-champion, both teams have got in. There was one year, a few years back, there was 3 co-champions, and 2 of the 3 got in.
Yeah. So 2 gets in, and that's
traditionally
pretty hard.
Hopefully that, and I'll tell you, a lot of that will be decided Saturday in games that have nothing to do with us across the country.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of games going on. We didn't even get to the ones there. But thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate it very much.
It's been a great year. Thanks a lot. Go Bulldogs.
All right, that's Coach Mike Houston. I'm Mike Legg. Thanks so very much for listening in this evening, and our thanks to Barry Daniels back in our studio. We are finished for this season of the Coach Mike Houston radio show, and we will be with you Saturday morning at 10 o'clock for the noontime ball game with the Citadel Bulldogs and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Until then, I'm Mike Legg saying so long from Fiery Ron's Home Team Barbecue.